I hate to be the one to come out and say this, but Warzone solos are bad, and I mean like really bad. And you want to know what I think the worst part is that I don't think it can be fixed, or at the very least, the fix would change Warzone to its very core, and honestly, I just see that as being unrealistic. And this really isn't something I want to be saying, because solos in Blackout were the most fun I've had in the solo battle royale like ever, and I was really expecting more of the same with Warzone. Another reason is I also made this video kind of before Warzone added in solos to it, saying that Warzones needed solos now, and you know, here I am now is saying that the solos in Warzone suck, so you can understand why I probably don't want to be saying this. But I can't ignore the reality that I just don't like solos, and it's just not for me. And honestly, it doesn't seem like it's only me, because all you have to do is just look around the internet. Almost nobody's streaming solos and nobody's making videos on solos unless it's just some sort of commentary videos, and everything else that is taken kind of serious in the gameplay department, you just only see trios being played. And that's really saying something, because Warzone right now is kind of the stuff, and still nobody's making content on solos, even though how big Warzone is as a game currently. And this really sucks, especially for me personally, because I had planned to do daily streams on Warzone solos, but now I honestly have no intentions of torturing myself by playing solos for multiple hours a day. But of course, I just don't want to say that solos are bad. I also want to answer the question and ask, of course, what is it that makes Warzone solos so bad, and can it be fixed? Well, actually, it has a quite simple answer, but before we can get into that, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by the bell button. Did you know YouTube is used by billions of players daily, but only 20% of them subscribe to the YouTube channels they watch? I know, crazy. But to make that even crazier, if only 20% of people that watch videos subscribe to those channels, then imagine how much, I guess, less people actually hit the bell button. But of course, you may ask, how much does it cost? Well, nothing, of course. The YouTube bell button is completely free, and you can find me on YouTube with the nickname You're Watching It. So what are you waiting for? Go down in the description and click the special link, and you will get 50 civil notifications for all my upcoming videos. Now back to the video. Now, the reason Warzone solos don't work, and the reason I don't think it can be fixed, is because what creates the problem for solos being bad is exactly what makes Warzone so unique. And what that is, it's all the stuff, all the buildings, and all the verticality in this game, and just the really populated map that Warzone has to offer, something we don't see in other battle royales. For example, if we compare the Warzone map to the Blackout map, it's clear the difference. Blackout and really most battle royales have points of interest on the map, and these points are where all the buildings, verticality, and the general clutter on the map are. But the places in between these points of interest, the maps are mainly empty. You'll find a building here and there, you'll have some trees, some different verticalities, but really, for the most part, it's really clear. Whereas in Warzone, even in the in-between parts of the map, there are also lots and lots of buildings. Not to say there aren't any open areas in Warzone, but there are still way less open areas in Warzone compared to every other battle royale. Now, of course, I know a lot of people will, without thinking, would say that, well, isn't that a good thing? I mean, myself included, this is what I thought when I first played Warzone. I mean, who wants to say no to having a map with more stuff in it? Well, after experiencing it, I think we could all start to see the problems with having a map with more buildings, more verticality, and generally more stuff in it. And what that is is that with more buildings creates more places to get shot from, especially with verticality. Just think about it. You can get shot from the ground, of course, level, assuming that's where you are, or you could get shot from one of the building windows. You could also get shot from one of the many different levels of the building that you may be walking by, and also you could get shot from the roof of so many different buildings. And of course, this is everywhere on the map, but it's most pronounced in places like downtown. And if we're being honest, it's impossible to check every single spot you could get shot from. And even if you do, first off, it's going to take you way too long and you're going to be playing way too cautious. And second, even if you do check every single spot you could possibly get shot from, by the time you check every possible spot, it's going to take so long that someone could then move to one of the places you checked, but that you thought was now safe, but now someone's there, and then now it's no longer safe. Or maybe they weren't in the place you checked, but now they move their head into that window, and it just makes it really, really hard to just see at any place in the map is a safe place and somewhere you could just be at least somewhat sure it's safe, especially comparing this once again to Blackout. If you're walking in between areas on the points of interest, you just spin around, it's mostly empty, you can see, well, there's no one there. And even if there is a place that you can get shot from that you're not sure if someone's there or not, there's not that many of them, so you can then more focus on that one area that potentially someone can be hiding at. But if you add this all together, it equals one thing, and that is that for most players it just becomes too dangerous to move around, and they end up just camping in buildings and only getting kills when people run next to them or when they see a gunfight on the minimap that they then can third party. And what this does for aggressive players and how people have liked to play Call of Duty in the past, it makes the heartbeat sensor a crutch. But even that's not enough, because one, you have to heartbeat every single building around you, and there's not enough time for that, and also it's just not realistic to check every single building you walk by. And second, WarZone has a shorter time to kill, meaning you can't really respond in time to a camper, and they could kill you really fast if you get caught off guard. Again, another one, third, you could still get third party by a camper who comes out only when they can third party someone else. And fourth, campers also have a heartbeat sensor and they can see when you're coming. And fifth, and the final one, the ghost perk is kind of a thing. And yeah, this is the one from, you know, the multiplayer where ghost always works. It's permanent. Once you get it, you're just off the radar. No UAVs, no heartbeats could find you at all, even if you're staying completely still. And of course, once a camper gets this, the heartbeat can turn from being a useful tool, an incredibly useful tool at that, to giving you a false sense of security that ends up getting you killed. And what I'm really trying to say with all of this is that the game has a clear advantage for a camping playstyle, and it just seems like that is what they're kind of pushing in this solo mode solely because of all that I've said thus far. But of course, I still want to explain exactly where this problem lies from, and even though it's pretty obvious at this point, I do want to still point out, and that's that it's just the map design of the game. Like, the map is the problem, and the map just has so many different places to camp because there are just so many buildings on the map with so much verticality on them. To again compare this to Blackout, in Blackout people would also camp in buildings. But the thing is that there were less buildings for campers to camp in, meaning there were less buildings you had to be wary of, thus again meaning that you can check these buildings more safely. You don't have to worry while you're checking one building that there's then someone in the other building then behind you there. So if that makes sense, it's just easier to deal with campers because there's less places to camp in Blackout compared to WarZone. And the funny thing is that I don't even think WarZone as a game has more campers than Blackout. The reason I feel like it just seems like it is because it's just harder to find the campers in the game inside WarZone compared to Blackout for really all of the reasons I've just said. There's more buildings in WarZones for campers to camp in, there's more second story, third story, fourth story roofs, and just so many different places for these campers to hide that makes it easier for them not to be found. And of course, this brings me to the worst part of the video, and it's that I don't think that there's anything Infinity Ward can do to fix this problem. I mean, the only way they can fix it is to change the entire map, to have the entire map have less buildings, less verticality, and honestly, that's just not going to happen because obviously it's just too much work, and changing the map would also change one of the most unique parts of the game that makes it stand out from all of the other battle royales. Of course, that being just how much stuff there is on the map. Of course, all this means that Warzone Solos is probably always going to stay bad unless Infinity Ward can think of a fix that I can't, or Warzone gets a new map in the future that is more friendly to solos in the game. But of course, that's all I have to say, and that is my thesis on why solos currently suck in Warzone. But before I go, I want to say this, and what that is that I'm not saying this to hate on anyone who enjoys Warzone solos, and if you do, I'm glad you enjoy it. I don't want to take away the fun from anybody who's enjoying something that's just something I'm not a huge big fan of. But I will say this, if you are enjoying Warzone solos, there's a good chance you're just a camping. I exclusively crouch walk around the map, and I only leave my freaking building if the circle forces me to, and I only get my kills from third-party piece of Thank you, and I love everybody.